dust. Put on War, make it loud. And the Romeo Foxtrot, shall we dance?
You are listening to the SitRep Podcast, your source for historic wargaming with a fresh perspective. We review the latest and greatest products in wargaming, discuss rules and what-if scenarios, and we cover the news and the latest trends. This is all brought to you by your SitRep command team from around the world. Join us for another riveting conversation here on the SitRep Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the podcast. This is our Veterans Day, Remembrance Day episode. To all the veterans out there around the world, we say thank you, and we are thinking of all of you. And which is funny because everybody in the room today is a veteran. So, it's just part of the mix. And so, real quick, if everybody could just say hello and what branch of service you served in or serving in if you're still active. And Marty, why don't we start with you?
Well, I was in the United States Army and Army Reserve as military policeman for a little over 27 years. Currently retired.
I didn't ever think you'd make it to that point.
That's
I didn't
right.
think you'd be alive long enough.
Well, my mom said I'd never make it to 21, so
right?
I figured everything after that was extra credit.
So you basically did it just to prove your mom wrong.
You've met my mother, right?
Yes, I know your mother.
Okay, then, yes.
Yeah. Sir James?
Yes.
Why don't you go? Go ahead.
I was a part of Uncle Sam's misguided children.
Happy belated Marine birthday, 245 years.
Oh, thank you very much.
Right. Yeah. Happy birthday to the junior service.
Wow.
They do have a much better party than we do, though.
Oh, much better. Those guys know how to play up a birthday. I mean, usually the Army has a birthday, and it's, we had a birthday, it's a little thing. And that, the Marines come out, they're all in their blues, and they've got this big birthday cake, and they have all this stuff going on. Their people know how to do it right.
They do have a much better dress uniform, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. To our beloved friend over in the UK, Gaz.
So, British Army, they're all electrical and mechanical engineers. As a helicopter mechanic, I'm at 22 years and change. Still putting money in that meter.
Good for you. Good for you. Our MIA, I don't know if that's a good term to use today, but we'll use it anyways because I've never been known to be PC. Christopher Long up in Canada was active and reserves with the Canadian Army. He was with the Seaforth Highlanders, right? The Canadian branch.
Yeah.
Wherever he is, usually he's running around. The Canadians, if he doesn't get his poutine and his flapjacks and his maple syrup, before a certain hour, he's really slow. So he'll probably pop in here sooner or later. And then this is Bill, U.S. Army, active, reserves, guard, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So that's us. So how about you guys out there? Check in. Just let us know. Because, November 11th is what here in the United States we call Veterans Day. In the UK, it's called Remembrance Day. I don't remember if it's called Remembrance Day in Canada or Veterans Day. I think it's Remembrance Day.
It's Remembrance Day.
Okay.
Hey, one more thing for you. So our buddy Chris Wimmer, who does a little bit of behind-the-scenes work with me over here, is a U.S. Army veteran as well. And he just retired effective October 29th.
That's right.
So he's officially retired now, and he's got, I don't know, it's weird. Between his reserve time and his Army time, he's got 45 years in.
Yeah, I know. He's been literally in the military since we were, juniors in high school, sophomores?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
He signed up in the reserves at 17.
Yeah, so this is for Chris. It's about time. Again, another one who we didn't think we'd see getting out of his 20s alive. So,
it certainly wasn't his fault.
No, it was a lot his fault. He almost killed us many times. I mean, us getting, he tried really hard to kill us all, but, somehow the luck of the Irish, if you will, it was with us. So, all right, let's change gears a little bit with some updates. So, this weekend, this Sunday, this is November 15th. Yes, 15th.
Yeah.
There will be a live stream. Will not be Jim on Jim's Gaming Sundays. I'll be taking the reins today, just because I felt Jim deserved a well-deserved break. I don't know if he listened to me and took a break, but, so we will be coming up with some programming this afternoon, depending on when you're listening to this. Second update, there is now a radio station for this Sit Rep podcast. You can find it on Live 365. We've put the link into our Facebook page several times. I got to jump into Discord. I tried to jump into Discord on my phone, and it won't let me log in, so I got to do it from my computer. But so we can set up a radio station button there in our Discord channel. But it is on Live 365. It's called Battle on Radio, and it is a 24/7 radio station. I mean, a literal radio station. We play music, and it's all well-known music, and it's all licensed, so we can't get dinged by it. And there will be some live shows, and then every Monday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time is a replay of this show on the radio channel. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors. The reason we did this is, one, I've always wanted to have my own radio station, and two, because we can play real music, and there will be a chance to request music, and we're going to do playlists and everything. It gives you something to play in the background when you're painting or hobbying or gaming, whatever the case may be. And so you will have a true radio station experience provided by the Sit Rep team. This one is all on me. It's totally voluntary if anybody else wants to do it. I know Dawn is very excited. She's going to be doing her own little show. We haven't figured out the exact format yet, but believe it or not, Dawn will be playing Christmas music. Believe it or not.
So has Dawn figured out how to make this 80s Harry Potter Christmas music?
That I don't know if she's worked out yet. Believe it or not, we are still uploading all our music library from our CDs. It's probably going to take us now until the new year to upload all those, because we have to burn them off the CD into the computer. But, I mean, we have a ton of music. The radio station is actually live right now in test mode, so you'll probably, if you go into it and listen to it, you might hear the same songs, because there's only about 50 songs up right now, and they're playing in an auto format, so they just rotate through. They randomize, but, there's some Wings, there's some Queen, there is Santana, there's some Alan Jackson, Journey, couple more, Gordon Lightfoot. I threw in some eclectic stuff. I'm sorry, what?
Can we set up like a playlist in there, like songs of the era from a particular?
Yes. If I give you radio DJ access, Marty can have his own Marty hard rock radio station, whatever you want. So we just have to get
I was thinking like we could do music from World War II.
Yes.
I need more coffee. Vietnam era.
Yes. We can set up those playlists
of the 90s.
Yeah, most definitely. We can set up those playlists.
We'll have to get some twins as well, just to red pen and black pen the sheets before they're handed over to the DJ, like in Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah, right. Nope, can't read that news. Nope.
And speaking of, so we can set up a playlist, like a theme playlist. So if you're doing some Vietnam stuff, we can have, music of that era on a playlist. It's a true radio station software. So you can do live cuts, station IDs. We are actually going to be setting up where the NPR news plays every 2 hours on the hour, something like that, or BBC. There's only limited stations that have a download link that I can put in live, but it will automatically play every second hour on the hour. So, stuff like that. And then, there's a way for people to request music. I just got to figure out how to do it yet, because it's a plug-in. So they'll be able to, because we have a few people that really like some of that heavy metal stuff that I just think is a little too over the top for my personal taste. So, as long as it's an album that's licensed, we'll be able to do it. So we have to own the music. Like right now, I'm uploading our entire library, and if it's something we don't have, we can download it. We have to purchase it and download it, and then it's licensed to air. So this is my /Christmas gift to everybody out there. So you have a radio station that's your very own, designed for gamers to, use and have in the background when you're painting at the table and you're, want something to listen to. And, and then, like I said, there are no commitments from anybody on the team other than myself, unless they want to do it voluntarily. This is not something we say, oh, you guys got to, have a show or whatever. So that is Battle on Radio. And like I said, it's a live 365. You'll find the link in our Facebook page. I'll make sure it's updated regularly. I'll talk to Chris about that. It's fully customizable and all that good stuff. So just growing our ways of entertaining you across the web. All right. Second one.
Cool.
Yeah. So the second one is we did a general show on Thursday night. It was pre-recorded because I am under the weather. I don't think I have the Rona. I think it's just because I moved back from the Florida Keys, which was 84 and beautiful. And, well, we had a little tropical storm. But, I come back here and it's, 30-something, 40 today. So this is bullshit. And,
don't forget it's raining and windy.
Yeah, really nasty. Yeah. And I gotta go cover my boat because I haven't put the cover on it yet because we haven't gotten it yet. So I'm gonna throw tarps on it because I can't get water into it and then freeze because the poor baby's never been in any water, or atmosphere below 70 degrees. But anyway, totally lost track of where I was going. Oh, the general show. So it was pre-recorded, but we did review a lot of those little expansion packets from Plastic Soldier Company and for Battlegroup NORTHAG. I did 2 British units. I did a Spartan Patrol, and I did a British SAS. And then we did a couple Soviet units. One was the Soviet 2S1 Vazika battery. It's a mobile artillery. I hope I'm saying that right. Any of my people that are better at Russian than I am, I apologize if I totally butchered that. And then I did a BDRM-2 Conquer. I learned what a Conquer is. It's an anti-tank missile, almost like a TOW. So we reviewed those as well. We tried a little contrast paints on a couple of the units. Some of the contrast paint worked much better than others. So, go back and look at that. I did discover something that, while probably 99% of the people aren't going to be disturbed by, it kind of bothers me, and that is the actual infantry pieces themselves are totally out of scale with the vehicles. They are huge compared to the vehicles. So the vehicles are 10 mil. They have to be at least 15 mil, the individual infantry pieces. Because when you look at them what I did is I compared the British SAS unit to the Range Rover that came with it. And the Range Rover has a driver molded into it. And you would take one of the individual infantry guys and put it next to that. And, it looks like, Andre the Giant next to, Tiny Tim, the little guy. So, it's a huge difference.
Soviet infantry carriers are quite small. I didn't see the miniatures you're talking about, but I believe you when you say that the infantry carriers are out of scale with the actual.
Well, even the artillery, the mobile artillery. If you put an infantry guy next to that, he's almost standing to the top of the turret of the hull.
Oh no, that's not right.
Yeah,
no, the SPGs you're talking about, the Soviet SPGs, they're like at least 9 feet tall.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so I'm not sure what the decision was with that as to why they went with the 2 different scales. Personally speaking, this is my personal opinion. I would have preferred the infantry to be in scale with the vehicles, just because I find it more pleasing to my eye that they're in scale. Because there are other people that would say, this is so the infantry can stand out, and they're just a representative. It's not a one-on-one, I think. But if you look at the setup, take the British SAS, for example. It's a Range Rover and 4 SAS individuals. So that would be approximately correct for that setup, as far as 1-to-1 numbers. I don't know. I guess it when you put it on the table, it doesn't really make it. It just seems so weird to me. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on it, if the scale with the infantry pieces makes that big of a difference when it's on a tabletop.
I don't know. Once you get into certain smaller scales, I do like the infantry to have recognizable parts.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So stuff like 6mm, where you just got almost a blob of a head and a body and some sticky outbits, you might as well not bother trying too hard with the infantry. But 10mm, I'd say, is probably similar. 15, Battlefront have proven that you can do good levels of detail on infantry at 15.
Right.
But I've never really put them next to the vehicles surrounding them and said, is that right or wrong? So I'm not actually sure, how that affects that.
Okay.
I've never noticed it if there is a difference in scale there. So I think there's probably a limit to where you can have a scale difference before you realize it.
Uh-huh.
Because the most of the things we see are heroic scale once you start getting smaller.
Yeah.
Which bulks them out just for manufacturing and detail purposes. Because real scale would be almost impossible. And if it was, you could cough on it and it'd fall into 3 different pieces.
Yeah.
It'd be so brittle at those sorts of scales to have a sort of a Thompson machine gun or, even a GPMG or a saw. If a barrel's sticking out at 10mm, 8mm, 6mm,
yeah,
it's going to have to be metal to even have a chance of surviving.
I totally agree with you. So, the question came to me in my own head is, am I looking at it with the critical eye of a scale modeler versus a gamer? Because it's 2 different worlds. As a scale modeler, everything has to be in the right scale, the right proportion. Everything has to look like, if I take a picture of this model, with the correct lighting and background, etc., it's hard to tell the difference between that model and real, the real life representative of that model. So, I love creating scale model, dioramas, sceneries where it looks as real as possible, so it fools the eye. So am I being hyperly critical because, the game company, the miniature company decided we're going to make the infantry stands a little bigger in scale so you can see detail, so they, it's easier to manipulate or move or whatever the case may be. So, sometimes I wonder if I'm being hyperly critical on this, and does it, really affect the gameplay? I haven't played with them yet into a game. That is on our whiteboard to-do list for Marty and I, and, is to play a battle group game, once we get these guys together. So we'll see, obviously we'll record it or live stream it. So that's, where we're at with that. So I'm just, it just...
I suppose one thing to keep in mind as well is most vehicles are sat on wheels or tracks to the ground.
Right.
Whereas most infantrymen are on a tab or a base that's a certain thickness already.
True.
So that's always going to be something they're going to have to do as well. I imagine just a tab on the bottom of a 15mm model is probably 2 or 3mm on its own.
Yeah.
And when you stand it next to a vehicle, it will sit that little bit higher, and then that normally goes on to a base as well.
True.
Which is crazy. So you're probably talking 4 or 5mm in height. A third of the human miniature's height is the base.
Yeah.
So when he's next to a vehicle, he will stand tall. I think it's like you said, proportions when you had an example with the guy in the Land Rover.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's all good things to consider. Like I said, I'm just wondering if I'm being hypercritical on this. Really what it comes down to is, does the game play well, which we know as a battle group game, it's going to play well. Jim can attest to battle group system, in general. It is one of his preferred game systems. Yes, Jim?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would just before Pierce corrects us in comments or something, they do like to specify that Northag is like sort of based on or related to Battlegroup. For fans of the Battlegroup system, it's not like the exact same game.
Sure,
but it's it's the same company. The games definitely share a lot of the same DNA. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Jim. So that was kind of my observations from the other night. Like I said, some of the contrast paint worked okay. Some of it didn't. I had a huge issue with glue with these miniatures. I don't know if I got a bad batch of some Chronolite glue. I could not get it to stick. At first, I tried plastic cement. This UltraCast stuff doesn't work with plastic cement, so you have to use super glue. So I started super glue, and the stuff just wouldn't stick. So I washed the models again, making sure I got any release or oils off of it. Tried it again, wouldn't stick. And of course, I'm out of accelerator, so I figured, well, maybe I needed some accelerator. So I tried just plain water, didn't work. I tried hydrogen peroxide as an accelerator, didn't work. I tried 70% rubbing alcohol, didn't work. I tried chlorine bleach because I saw something on YouTube when I was researching a homemade recipe for accelerator. They said try chlorine. Now, he didn't specify whether that was chlorine bleach or if that was like pure chlorine, which that's bad. Just so I'm making myself clear on this one. I mean, I have pool chlorine. I could use some of that. I didn't try that because that's really strong stuff.
That's probably not a good call, bud.
Yeah, right? You would have seen me on camera passing out.
For you.
So you've seen the fire department coming in, having to vent the room, because of chlorine gas, yada, yada, yada. It kind of worked.
What was he doing? He's trying to glue his little guys together. So,
I mean, it kind of worked, but before I say there's an issue with this kind of plastic, I did a lot of research in the moment on if ever anybody else was having problems with gluing, and nobody really reported anything. So I'm wondering does Chronolite glue go bad after a while? I mean, it's been stored. It's probably 3-4 years old, but it's a brand new bottle. I mean, it's been opened, but it has not really been used. So I'm just wondering if that stuff goes bad because it just was not sticking.
I've never had anything.
It will.
It will go bad
that way.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
So I'm the fuels, lubricants, adhesives, and petroleums rep at work. And after a certain amount of time, things tend to either break down. Some of them are a long time, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But even the glues we use and such, we've only got a certain window. Some of them are 5 years. Some of them are, 4 hours, depending if it's a paint or a glue, etc.
Gotcha.
So there's definitely and I think it can be affected by other things such as the storage mechanism. If it's been in hot and then cold, it changes how the materials inside have broken down or over time become less tacky. I've had super glues here, GW ones, old ones that were in the little sort of toothpaste shape, but they were really small and used to twist a nozzle on.
Yeah.
All of them went dead without me opening them. Because it wasn't my go-to. I left them for a while, and maybe a year and a half later, I went to use one when I'd run out of what I had, and it was no good. It was just a tacky mess that you could literally string out. So good for other things, but not for actually gluing.
That's crazy. That is crazy. So I honestly learned something new because I honestly did not know that that stuff can go bad. So. It's good to know.
Stuff that can't separate. So paint separate, which means a lot of the time you can actually bring them back because just by adding the relevant sort of the lamium medium and a stirring it rather than shaking it, the paints I currently have are now 8-9 years old.
Okay.
The GW ones, and I don't have a single dry paint. Mainly because I think I look around the edge of the lid and make sure it gets a good seal. So if there is any paint buildup, I just scrape it off with a toothbrush.
Right.
And that stops the air getting to it. So I have loads of mine separated over time, but literally a touch of medium or even just a touch of water and a stir and they start to thin out quite quickly. I just have to be aware of the odd lump, but you can often break them up with a brush as well once you've got them into a flow.
You said odd lump.
But no, so those things that are already a combined item that can't break down tend to not have the same sort of shelf life.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I learned something new every day. So yeah, I guess I need to order.
Yeah, I've never had super glue do that to me. I've had it go bad when after it's been opened. And sometimes you get on a roll and you forget to put the cap back on. I've had that happen.
Do you not have the wire to drop in the hole?
Yeah, I've been able to recover it if it's just in the nozzle. The problem is I let one go over a weekend, and it turned my super glue into just this viscous glob inside the bottle.
Okay.
Which was really disappointing because it was one of the larger 2-ounce bottles.
Yeah.
And it was still pretty full. Well, there's $9 I'm never getting back. But I've never had one not be adhesive.
Yeah, but have you had your glue for 4 or 5 years?
No, generally speaking.
Yeah. So,
you sniffed it all up by then.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to huff it faster than that.
That's why I leave the lid off to get the aroma in the room.
That's why, the lid was off because I passed out.
That's funny.
Don't judge me. I'm the only guy, right? It's me.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. There's your public service announcement for today. Use your glue before it goes bad. I always thought I'd be proud and I'd stock up on glue, and so I'd always have an extra bottle laying around. And yeah, if you don't use it enough, it can go bad. So I will be ordering new glue and more accelerator. Yeah. So
I'm just looking at the one I have here in hand now. I have it's actually an American brand, Gorilla.
Yeah, Gorilla Glue. Yep.
Gorilla Glue. Yep.
So yeah, I've got this in hand now. It's got no information about sort of an expiry date on the bottle itself. I don't know if it would have had it on I doubt it would even have it on the packaging, because I got it through in, type of the cardboard with the plastic blister packaging that you get.
Yep.
Where it's hung on a shelf. I imagine if it's anything like the stuff we get, the main expiry dates are on the box rather than each individual item.
Gotcha. So, how do you like the Gorilla? I have not used the Gorilla Super Glue. I've only used the Bob Smith Industries.
It's become my go-to.
Has it really? What is it about that you like?
It smells really nice.
Goes down smooth.
Yeah. It burns my nasal hairs, so I don't have to pluck them. No,
it'll stick to anything.
Yeah, so I quite like the fact that you sort of have to shake it to get an amount into the nozzle.
Okay.
So it naturally sits in the bottle rather than in the nozzle. So I've not had to use. Normally I drop a pin in, be it a paper clip unfolded or something thinner like a piece of wire, to keep them from sealing. I've not had the problem with this. The lid itself actually comes with a small sort of pin assembly.
Okay.
As well. So when you've screwed it fully down, that pin assembly just takes any excess from the tip of the nozzle, which is nice. To be honest, it's just good value for money here. I get a decent amount for a couple of quid, and it lasts me a good amount of time. And it's not got the most accurate nozzle, but I think there's loads of variations. So if you wanted something for 6 mil or 15 mil, you could do that. The one I've got currently is mainly for a larger nozzle that will work well with 28 mil stuff. So that's what I've been mainly doing. So, and normally if I need anything small, I just shake a bit out, put it onto a piece of tissue, and then use a toothpick to put it on instead.
Right. Yeah, that's what I do with mine. Mine's the same way. It's got a pretty big nozzle on it, and if you're trying to do some detail work, it's not good.
Don't you wish, Marty?
My glue.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
But no, it's it's become, like I say, it's easy to get. It's in a lot of stores over here, so I know what I'm getting every time I get it. It's kind of like your favorite fast food or hotel place that you go. Once you know that it's consistent and it's always the same wherever you are, you tend to stick with it.
Gotcha. Excellent. Jim, do you have a preference in super glue? Or use whatever's available?
What's your favorite flavor?
My favorite flavor. We actually had this conversation rather unironically with paint one time. It's like, are you a person that like licks your paintbrush or not?
I like my paintbrush. Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Soviet brown has a nice cinnamon flavor. German gray is kind of bland. American khaki has like that nice after dinner olive kind of a tang to it. It's very nice.
I'm gonna have to pick some of that up.
What is hold on, Matt, what is the the person's name that gets that certification in wine?
Sommelier.
The sommelier. So we now have Jim, the sommelier of paints. Oh my God! Go ahead, Jim.
As far as paint goes, I think they call it Loctite. I don't have a bottle here in front of me, and I don't want to go because I'll lose reception on my headphones here. Basically anything with a lot of gel to it. It's like that really runny super glue. It comes out of the bottle like actually liquid. I can't stand that stuff. Number one, it gets everywhere. Number two, I can never get it to stick. So I like the stuff with a lot of gel to it. That way I don't have to use activator. I don't have to mess around with any of this other stuff. You do have to be very careful with it because it will glob up very quickly, like if you're working on something small. So what I'll do sometimes is like put a little bit on a scrap sheet of paper and then use a toothpick to get very precise with it. Actually don't put them together right away. Like put the glue on both pieces and like let them sit there for 60 seconds. That's almost like activator.
Tack up a little bit.
It's super cheap. It's always at Michael's craft store. They always have a bunch of it. I just buy like half a dozen bottles at a time, and it has that cool little twist top on the top the top never actually comes off the actual bottle. It just like kind of, it has like almost like two settings, open and closed. So you can't, leave the top off.
Yeah, kind of like a white glue bottle, like an Empress glue bottle.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the kind of paint I use, or not paint, glue. That's the kind of glue I use.
Excellent. Is there a certain vintage that you enjoy there?
No. Here we go.
It turns out it's better fresh.
Yes. It's like beer. You got to get it when it's fresh, not aged.
So I have to admit, I only use gel now as well.
Do you?
I don't use,
I was going to say, so that brings up a question, which, Bill, when you and I were building the table for 13 hours, I had picked up a bottle that I did not know was the super thin stuff. Yeah, and wow, that was tragically messy.
Yes.
So what do people use the super thin super glue for? Because I haven't really come across a need to have something that running. Is there a dedicated purpose?
For large flat surfaces, because it'll give you a tighter fit between the two. So sort of building wall to building wall and corner pieces. If you had a 45-degree cut, I'd probably use the super thin to run down the center of it, so the excess would then push towards the edges without showing at the edges.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I also use it in models per se where it's a tight fit and it's a really awkward angle or something, and there might be a little bit of a gap. So I'll let a bead of that run into it to create a better seal. It has its purposes. When you're trying to glue something together on a weird angle, and you want to make sure it fits right.
It's kind of like using it as the liquid plastic glue, because I use that on plastic models all the time.
Yeah. So
the other thing I use it for, gel's a little more expensive than the super thin stuff. So on larger projects like walkers for say Dusk 1947 or large scale tanks, I run a edge of gel and then fill the center with the super thin.
Right.
For two large surfaces. So I'm not using gel over the whole surface, but I trap so I can control where the thin stuff goes with the gel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I think I've just been using regular liquid plastic glue for that stuff for the most part.
Honestly,
that makes sense. That would be a use for it. Now that you say it.
I like to use super glue all the time now, even on plastics, so that if I drop and break it, the bond is a smooth, clean break, because obviously plastic glue generally melts the plastic to each other. So it'll generally break the model component rather than break apart the model.
Exactly.
I use, when I paint a lot of the models for the stream and such, I glue resin models to a plastic base with super glue. And then after, I just literally snap it off. I try to use accelerator as well because it crystallizes faster, so the bond is weaker. And therefore, it's easier for me to break away and then put onto a themed base. So I can paint the base separately, but have it on a base while I'm painting the miniature. Snap it off the cheap base, whatever that is, and then put it onto its theme base.
Yeah.
So when you're doing that, do you literally just take it out of the paint handle and crack it off the base, or do you freeze it first? Or
no, I just run a scalpel blade. I normally leave a toe on each side or a heel that's not glued. So I just glue the front or the rear of the foot to the base. Then I've got leverage to slide in a blade.
Gotcha.
But a lot of people drill the feet and caulk. If I'm pinning it to a resin base, I'll just drill it and put it in a caulk and paint it.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I stick them to a coin. So I've got some weight, and then put that into the holder so I can comfortably hold it for painting. But generally, I leave the toes or the heels unglued so that I can get the blade that far. And once I'm that far, it's very easy just to go the rest of the way because the bond is not that great.
Gotcha.
There you go.
More words of wisdom from Gaz.
There you go.
That and cut fingers.
So, yep, there you go. There's your little segment on glue. Anything? Let's segue over to comments. We've gotten several comments from our peeps, and I thought we'd bring that up and address some of their comments. We had a comment from Piotr, one of our diehard fans, and he was commenting related to the post on Battle on Radio, and he said, yay, only available in the U.S. and Canada. I looked into it and just want to let you know, in the standard format, it's because of licensing of the music, but I don't know how I say this, but on the internet, there are workarounds. So you can listen to it worldwide, and I will send you a private message letting you know how you can do that. So it's legal, I guess. I'm not making anything illegal, but there are legal ways where people in other countries can listen to the radio station. It comes down to licensing with the music, but I guess there's other ways of doing it. So
just the technique.
It's just the technique. And then we had Robert Dunn, who made a comment on some goofy guy's post about pirate ships.
Hey.
He said he enjoys...
Be nice. I'm painting my French commander as we talk.
I mean, the ship looks good, Marty. You did a good job on the sails. Did you do that, or
Thank you.
They come that way?
Yeah.
Oh, you did that?
No, so they don't come with sails. There's a template you can download. So I used the template, and then I modified it I cut out the little half moon at the bottom of the sails to, kind of give the illusion that the sail's billowing. But yeah, that's just white craft foam that I hit with the wash.
It looks good. It looks really good. So did you burn the packages too on that edging for the other picture there? Or is that how it comes? It looks like you did.
Oh, no, that's how it comes.
Okay.
With the picture of the guys with
no,
that's the insert in the blister pack.
Oh, and it comes that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. I thought you were like getting overly Martha Stewart and we're doing that.
No. that takes away from my glue huffing time.
All right. So Robert Dunn enjoys a little bit of blood and plunder.
It needs for the fire brigade after.
Yeah, right.
And then our friend Tom, on the post regarding PSC's new Waffen SS Grenadiers platoon from 4445, asked, will they be doing modern Russians? We don't know. They do 15 millimeter Russians. I don't know if they'll do 20. 20 is what, 1/72nd scale, Jim?
Yep.
Okay. So there's a lot of companies out there that do 1/72nd scale. I just don't know. That's one scale I don't do personally.
So Tom runs a wargaming club out here by us. Actually, it's in Homer Glen. Not that that means anything to anyone other than me and Bill. But in the Chicago south suburbs. And he sent me a picture of his collection. Tom, you don't need any more stuff, buddy. Dude, your wife is gonna kill you.
Wait a minute. We promote this hobby. We don't promote restraint.
I'm just saying.
Have you seen my house?
Figures.
Have you seen my house?
Your basement does not hold a candle to what he's got in his.
That sounds like a challenge.
To be fair, most of Bill's is boxed upstairs. Still.
That's true. Thank you, Gaz.
All right. Okay, you got me on that one.
And that's no good either.
I was going to say PSC makes pretty good modern Soviets, and PSC tends to start with 1/72 and then kind of work their way outward from there. And Caesar miniatures. I have a lot of 1/72 20 millimeter Caesars for my moderns. I don't have any modern Soviets.
What? You?
Not 1/72. They're all in
15.
They're all in 15. Yeah, my modern stuff is not actually Soviets. It's either Ukrainian militia or U.S. Marines or Iraqis or something like that. Now, the thing with Caesar miniatures, the plastic is extremely soft. They're really, really reasonably priced. 1/72, very, very highly detailed miniatures, like true scale. Like the weapons aren't like that. We were talking about this in a previous episode, where like the weapons look like everyone's carrying around a friggin' 10-gauge shotgun because the barrels have to be big enough to mold properly or whatever. That's all fine. Caesar Miniatures does it right, but the plastic's very soft, and because those barrels are so thin, the plastic is very bendy. So warm up that pot of hot water to sort of bend a lot of your miniatures back into place. But like 40 or 45 miniatures will cost you like $10. They're like a quarter a piece, so they're super. And you do have to base them yourself, so that's a little annoying. But other than that, there are places if you want, you can get 20 millimeter modern. I say modern Soviets, modern Russians, or Cold War Soviets.
All right, so there you go. There's a starting point for you guys. Next one is Rubicon Models posted a thing about they're making Vietnam miniatures. They look interesting. All they are is 3D renderings at this point. And Andrew posted on it. It would be interesting to see how they scale up against others. I agree. Looking at them, Jim, to your point, they look real scale. I mean, the weapons are in the right, they're not overly obnoxious or anything like that. So, yeah.
They're not like super heroic scale.
No. They look to be in the right scale. They look good. Again, we're looking at 3D renderings at this point, and it's hard when you look at a 3D rendering to go, yeah, that's right. Because, I'm not going to call anybody out, but I've seen a few Kickstarters where they've done 3D renderings. And then when you see the actual model, you're like, what the that doesn't look right at all. So
I've been bamboozled.
So, yeah.
I think Rubicon have also been releasing some Italian vehicles. We put it up onto the Facebook page the other day. I think, what was it up there? There's you can build like a M13, M40 medium tank.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah.
Command tank.
Yeah.
And there was a 75-18 self-propelled gun as well.
Yeah.
So they're definitely what I like about they do them in waves, so you can sort of go backwards and catch up. So I think they're up to sort of only wave 2 of this year, but due to circumstances, that's not unexpected.
Yeah.
Great.
But they do some lovely kits.
Yes,
definitely a big troublemaker when it comes to your plastic crack pile.
Our good friend Alex over at Full Full Battle Rattle Miniatures. Has a full restock of all his Canadian miniatures. If you have not seen his stuff or have not gotten your hands on it, you need to, especially if you're looking for, a quote-unquote mainstream military, because, he does Canadians mostly, and he does do some Afghans as well, and they look really good. White Dragon Miniatures is another one. Gaz got me hooked on those. He brought me some in his last visit, and they are amazing. Full Battle Rattles is fully restocked, and they have an LAV3 kit coming soon. So keep a look on for that.
I got a message from White Dragon because I went to pick up some of the British troops to do with Laughing Boy. Actually, he's going to do the Taliban.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, they were out of stock on some of the variations, but they've just come back in stock for what I believe is the Scrim and the Para helmets. I think are the two that have just come back in stock. So I'm going to pick up a set of them to do some battle space.
Nice.
Nice.
The Salters game, if you've not checked that out. I know Marty's a big fan of it. I want to give it a go. So I did ask you, Marty, how many bad guys could I possibly need? And due to your poor rolling skills, it was a lot more than I thought.
I got the second game of Battle Space that I played. I think I had 24 or 26 bad guys on the table at the same time versus my 4-man team. It was bad. That's how I know the game is good, because I was screaming at the game that I was playing by myself. And I lost that one, by the way. There was no recovering from the amount of dudes that came out to take advantage of my misfortune with the dice.
But looking to do that with one of my friends who's going to pick up the Taliban. Laughing Boy's going to get a set as well. But looking to scale it up a little. So it'll be 2 4-man fire sections. I'm going to pick up the Mastiff as their vehicle that brought them in.
There you go.
They carry 8 troopers. They do a really nice Mastiff at White Dragon as well, with the full cage setup for RPGs. Saw a lot in Afghan. So yeah, we're going to be rolling that down a main D-bus either side, and it'll be like a double compound sweep. So anything that crosses the road bad guy wise will get lit up, and we just have to basically sweep through the town. Hoping to build that over the next 2 or 3 months and have it up and running after Christmas, and maybe get my friend Mark down and do a video.
Nice.
There you go.
Very nice. So, yeah. What was I saying? Oh, sorry. Another update. Quartermaster 3D. It's a company I've not heard of before. They have a Kickstarter coming soon for Jim. This should be near and dear to your heart. Iraq USMC. So they look good. They are going to be next project is USMC in Iraq for their next Kickstarter, possibly a whole platoon. I just sent them a message saying, send us more info and we'll talk about it some more. They look really good. So far, again, we're looking at 3D renders. So, if you're looking for some Iraqi war type, I don't know if this is first Gulf War or what the time frame is. I'm looking at these. These look first-ish. I don't know, Marty. Maybe you can look at them and tell me what you think as well.
Are they like M16A2s or M4s? Is probably the fastest way to tell.
That's a good question. It's hard to tell. By looking at these.
Looking back, they've done the previous Kickstarter as well, which is good. I think they've done 2 looking at this.
Okay.
So that's nice. Gives you a little warm, fuzzy feeling. Yeah. It's not that it's rodeo.
Yeah. So by the look of the kit, I'm going to go with first Gulf War because they're still using butt sacks on LBEs.
Okay.
That could kind of go either way.
Yeah.
Just based off my observation, especially at the beginning of the
that's true
of the war.
That's true.
2003, 2004.
Yeah.
But their weapon systems will really be what tells on them.
Well, if you look at it, it's hard to tell if it's actually. To me, it looks like an M16. I don't think it's an M4 because it's a standard plastic buttstock. I'm looking at the 203. It's a 203. But the barrel's a little on the short side. But I think that's what they were going for was an A2 because the rounded hand grip, barrel guard.
Right.
So I'm gonna go with those are A2s.
And then it's probably it's probably 91. Maybe it's 03.
Yeah.
You know, the first big push.
Yeah.
Like Marty was saying.
Yeah.
Another hint might be if there's any optics on the helmets.
No optics on the helmets.
Or optics on the.
Well, there's an optic on some of the weapons, but.
All right, so.
Go ahead.
So if you look at the guy's body armor.
Yeah.
So he's got that's more modern body armor. I mean, he's got a nut flap down and everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that would tell me that this is more current era.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd scroll down the page too far. I'm on a ballista.
As well as he's got an ACOG on his.
Ballista is definitely not first Gulf War.
I think I may have gone back in time too far.
Yeah, so
once your upgrade for Iraq was very quick and right before you left.
Yeah, so I would say that this is a more of a current era, probably early war.
So 2003, 2004-ish.
Yeah. 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
that'd be good for Fallujah then. That'd be good for Fallujah then. Marines were heavily involved in Fallujah.
Yeah. Most definitely, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because these are all. It looks like they're all carrying A2s, and then like there's one guy that's got a carrying handle on it still, and the rest of them look like they've got ACOGs mounted. So definitely not 91.
No,
you're right.
The
weapons would be the main hint.
I agree. Yeah, it looks like 2003, 2005.
So earlier.
And we got to remember the Marines are always a little behind on equipment issue. You know, it seems like the Army gets the new shit quick, and then the Marines, you know, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever. Unfortunately, I'm going to go with seem to have to play catch up a little bit. So it seems like.
Well, they just held on to that A2 forever. The Marines wanted the A2, I think.
Yeah.
You know, that they thought that, you know, having the having the larger rifle would, increase their marksmanship abilities, which, you know, especially if you're shooting off of iron sights, I wouldn't argue with that. But, you know, between me carrying an A2 in 03 and 04 and me carrying an M4 for all my other deployments, I'll take the M4.
Right?
That's weird. I've never carried an M4. M4 is way after my time, and the A2 was definitely not a heavy rifle. You know, 7.9 pounds before you unload it or whatever. No sling, no magazine. You know, it's not like, you know, the old M14. You ever pick up an old M14 or an M4 Garand?
No,
but after a while, when you're rocking with it, it's heavy. You know, so there's definitely a difference.
My biggest thing is the not so much the weight, but the overall length.
Yeah.
You know, an M4 with the stock collapsed is like 8 inches shorter, and if you're in a vehicle on a regular basis, that makes your life a lot easier.
Certainly, yeah.
That is true.
You know, and you know, as an MP, I didn't walk anywhere.
Marty, if I recall, most of your military career, you didn't walk anywhere because you were a track engineer vehicle.
Yep, that was the entire point of I didn't even have a rifle then. That was the point of all my assignments. You know, I don't care what I did, but I'm not walking to war.
That's funny as shit.
Spent some time with Weapons Training Battalion at actually both MCRD, Paris Island and San Diego. Now, this is, you know, 20, 30 years ago, so, you know, take that with a grain of salt. As much as the Marine Corps is really into its marksmanship program you guys were talking about before, even when I was an 18-year-old kid, I literally turned 18 during rifle qual when the wall came down back in '89, giving away my age here. But I was like, this isn't the way, you know, I mean, I understand they want you to you know, the point of Marine marksmanship training, at least at the very early levels, and again, this is 20, 25 years ago, I think it's to kind of teach you like how to use the weapon and how to respect the weapon, because it's like you put on a shooting jacket, you sit out in the sun, you take off the sling, you like sling your arm like through this little loop when you take it off, and like you set up like it's more like a hunting competition. It's like, can you drill that bucket, 500 yards or whatever?
And Jim, do you remember snapping in?
Oh yeah,
That was something that was a new concept for me when I was stationed in Hawaii. We went over to the local Marines and went through their marksmanship program, and that was totally different than what we had done in the Army.
Yeah. I mean, I remember being 18 years old in late 1989, going, "This isn't how warfare works." I mean, I understand that they're teaching you how to work the weapon and adjust your sights and, be safe, don't shoot yourself through the hand and, everything else. But at the same time, I'm like, I get 5 minutes to try and put 5 rounds. I mean, this isn't like sniper training,
right.
Through a stationary target at 500 meters away, and then later on we had like some what they call it like line training, where it's like much more, it's almost like police training, where it's like you have to maneuver through this very short little obstacle course and hit certain targets and not others, and you have like 10 seconds and stuff like that. But the primary training was, I mean, I was okay with it. I certainly I didn't have any authority, for God knows. But then later I actually got stationed back on Parris Island as permanent personnel after Gulf War, and I wound up at a weapons battalion. Now, of course, I was in supply. But because every time I went to the range, every year you have to go back and requal. I qualified expert on the E2. When they would needed coaches, they would reach out to like people in other shops. Now, not a PMI, not a primary marksmanship instructor. The coach is just there to pretty much take you onto the line as a shooter, and make sure you don't shoot yourself in the face. Police up all the brass afterwards. Pretty much keep the line going. But yeah, like the little marksmanship books, you would plot your shot, and the little guy with the little white paddle and the little black paddle, like waving over the target. I'm like, oh man,
the known distance range. Although it did teach me how to wring out the maximum effectiveness of that weapon system, because the Army does not go into nearly that much detail on how to engage a target, especially at distance. So that was a great course for me as a young trooper.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, So you were talking about like the Marines were holding on to the A2 because they liked it, and because they had so much of their marksmanship training program kind of baked into that weapon. I don't think you could run the usual, or what was at the time. I don't even know what the hell it is nowadays, but at the time it was that 200, 300, 500 meter sort of a course for basic Marine marksmanship training. I don't think you could even do that with an M4, because I don't know. I've never actually used the M4.
You can still reach out 500 yards with it. I mean, it's got a little. If you're on iron sights, it's got a little shorter sight radius. Obviously, the trajectory is different. Uses a heavier bullet than the old A2s do, or at least it prefers a heavier bullet, and that's what we're issued these days. But like, I'm still in.
Once in, you're always in, bud.
It still uses 556 though, right? Or did they ever make the switch to the 6.8?
No, they just beefed up the bullet from
heavier grain.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, they went from like a 55 grain bullet to a 62 grain bullet. So it's just a little, the round itself is a little heavier, as well as they've got other rounds that are designed to penetrate a little better.
Yeah, weight on that, and punching power on that 223 Remington was always an issue. They were always, complaining about that. I don't know if you guys remember it, but in 2004 or 5, right, we're talking about Fallujah before, there was that big push to either the 680 SPC special purpose cartridge or the 6.8 millimeter Grendel round. They were talking about, look, we're not going back to the old 7.62 full metal jacket, but we're not. This 556 nonsense is too light. We need to find something in the middle.
Well, and they're still looking at that stuff for squad weapons.
Yeah. Didn't they? Was it? Was it SIG that just got approved for a test weapon for squad? I think it was SIG. I just saw red news that they were looking at one of SIG's squad weapons as an approval for further testing. So,
I think so, because they've already got the contract for handguns, so that would make sense. Since they're already in the system.
Yeah. For squad weapons, you're talking about replacing the 240 or the 249?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
249 is what they're looking at replacing and beefing that up a little bit, giving it more.
Man, you can't mess around with my saw, man. Come on.
Well, you know,
Jim, you're looking at this all wrong. What that means is when they replace it, they'll all become available.
Oh, yeah. Tell you what, the only thing I didn't like about the saw was when the day was done, you had to take that friggin' thing back to the armory. It was like, because holy crap, the thing's got a lot of parts, and you're going to be there cleaning that thing. Before our armories would accept it back, you'd be there for 3 or 4 hours, man, trying to get that thing ready to turn back in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's why I like the M60.
I always find that quite therapeutic, if I'm honest.
Cleaning
the weapon after firing. Yeah, I've always enjoyed that part of it. More so when I'm in a warm, dry place, but even when I'm not, chucking out a poncho, getting something dry on the ground underneath it and breaking down my weapon and cleaning it's kind of sort of something I've always enjoyed, even down to on exercises, I carry the old shaving brush.
Mm-hmm.
Get into the spare pair of gas parts in case I needed a fast change out to carry on firing. And yeah, I don't know. I always enjoyed at the end of it because we don't get to fire that much in my trade. We're not a priority for marksmanship or range packages. So it's I enjoy shooting, and afterwards I always enjoy that part of it as well.
Oh, well, but come on over between Bill and I. We got all sorts of
guns. I haven't cleaned my guns in a while, and they need a nice, if you want a therapeutic.
Do your guys do the drop test through the barrels and stuff? So when you hand a weapon in at the armory, our armory, your barrel assembly goes to the armorer, and he drops a weight through it, and if it gets restricted at any point, you clean it from scratch again and stuff like that.
You drop a weight through it?
Yeah, so
it's a gauge, I'm sure. So our armors, that level of maintenance isn't performed at our unit level, so they don't have that tool. So that particular trick doesn't get used against us, but most of them just like for an M4 or an M16A2, they'll just shotgun it, pull the bolt carrier group out and stare down the barrel, and then give it back to you without actually looking at anything and say your shit's dirty.
Yeah, if they see a speck the worst I've seen is they run a swab down the barrel.
Trying to turn it back into the Marine armor was like, dude, that weapon's got to be charity, man. I mean, you might as well just go out and buy it.
So it's like returning your TA-50. What do you mean it's dirty? I got it dirty,
It's still in the package you issued it to me. What do you mean? Well, yeah, you can't have it in the plastic. You take it out of the plastic, and then they're like, it's dirty.
It came in contact with oxygen. It's filthy. Do it over.
So my technique for weapons cleaning, I was the guy that did the reverse psychology. Everyone's upset that the armorer's keeping them there. Me, I'd go find a place, put on my headphones, get my snacks and my coffee, and I would be there for the next 12 hours. I would just take my time. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make you wait. Because you can't lock up the arms room, and you can't leave until I turn this weapon back in.
That's also true. Yeah.
Eventually, they get motivated to accept that weapon.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. For us, it was like usually like after either range or just we never did anything serious because again, 3043 supply. I mean, like a friend of mine used to say on tabletop, I was so far in the rear, I'd have to send my laundry up to the front. To get cleaned or whatever. So again, kind of like guys was saying, we weren't out in the, with actual weapons like very, very often, but when we were, man, we were like over it. And by that point, we're used to working in air conditioning, drinking coffee, And we live on that same base, so Friday afternoon is like Liberty time, man. You know, it's time for the first beer downrange. Don't keep me in this friggin' armory, man. I got shit to do, man. You know, old girl's waiting on my call. I got beer in the fridge, you know, and I'm sitting here, you know, finger fucking around with this goddamn, you know, weapon from. I'm tired. I want to go home. They're like, nope, because they don't want to accept it. Because number one, it's their job to keep it maintained, and number two, if you don't do it, that means they do. And they at our depot, they had like 45,000 M16s locked up in this big brick fortress. There's no way they're cleaning these things. So yeah, they got really serious about you know, turning the weapon back in. Now they did have these great big tubs. You could like put your dog tag through your bolt carrier group or whatever and throw it in this tub of, I don't even know what the hell it was.
It was dry cleaning solvent.
Well, it wasn't CLP, but it was something else. And like, don't put your hand in there without this glove on, you know?
Yeah, it's dry cleaning solvent. It's a DS2. Same stuff they clean parts with.
Yeah, like, you would take your bolt carrier group. You take your bolt carrier group out of there, and it was like that nice shiny silver again. It was like, wow, like without even scrubbing it or whatever. So I mean, I'm complaining about it, but it wasn't that bad. You know, people in the military put up with a lot worse. God knows.
Yeah.
Good times.
Wow, we're all in memories today, aren't we?
Well, it is our Veterans Day special, so that's what we do.
Yeah, we're all harping back to experiences of the past.
True that.
Yeah.
But, the thing that used to get my goat was I'd clean it to leave ops, and then they'd stick it in the dirtiest, shittiest, sandiest weapon bundle you've ever fucking seen in your life. And I'd know I'd have to clean it pretty much from scratch again by the time I got home.
Damn it.
Just to break me.
You know, Jim, you were talking about you know, supply guy, and you didn't you know, you weren't the priority. You didn't get to shoot a whole lot and whatnot. My last deployment to Afghanistan, there was an MP unit that was co-located with a Afghan police unit, which like a company-sized Afghan police unit. So and it was a platoon of MPs, U.S. MPs out there. It was from the 303rd MP company out of Jackson, Michigan, actually, some reservists. And 3 or 4 Afghans, either police that had turned bad or Afghans that were dressed as police to get past the guards, got in and started shooting up the tents where the Americans lived at like 4:30 in the morning. The 2 people that were up were the cook and the supply sergeant, and they burned those motherfuckers down. I'm going to tell you. Everybody needs to know how to shoot, and those dudes did it. They took care of business.
I'm sure. I mean, I don't know if it's still like this now, but I was in during Alan Gray's term as commandant of the Marine Corps, and he was an old. The guy before was, I think, PX Kelly. He was an old Air Wing Marine, but the guy that I was in for, as far as, you know, the top officer of the Marine Corps was, A.M. Gray, and this guy did not play around, man. He's an old, 0311. I think he had a rifle company in Vietnam back in the day.
Whoa.
Yeah, and he was like, every Marine is a rifleman first. And yeah, that's when they had like, I don't care, you know, everyone goes through recruit training, and even if you're not in infantry or a combat MOS, you're still going to infantry school afterwards. So altogether, our boot camp was like 20 weeks. You know, it was, you know, the regular, like I think the Army's boot camp back then was 8 weeks. Ours was 13. And then you went through like 10 weeks of, or 8 or 10 weeks of infantry school. I can't remember what.
And ours was like 5 weeks long, I think.
Yeah, it was. They didn't bust around. Of course, that was good because, you know, right after I joined, like I was in infantry school when Just Cause hit in Panama. We were getting ready, you know, we used to have to get up for breakfast at like 4 in the morning, not because we had a full training day. We had a full training day, but not because the entire 6th Regiment would eat breakfast before us. So we would be standing out there in the pitch darkness at like 4:30 in the morning waiting to eat, you know. And then one morning, like maybe 10 days before Christmas, everyone's talking about going on their Christmas 96 or whatever. Get up, form up outside the barracks, march down to, it was Camp Geiger, you know, mess hall, like one of the mess halls on Camp Geiger, and we just walked right in. Like, where the hell is 6th Regiment? There's usually like literally 3,000 guys in front of us for breakfast. And as we're walking in, we pass those little steel boxes where they sell newspapers out of. You put a quarter in, the door opens up or whatever. And there it was, Operation Just Cause, Panama. I'm like, well, I guess we know where 6th Regiment went.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And of course, Desert Storm's right after that.
Yeah.
Bosnia's after that, and Somalia's after that. So
yeah,
and a lot of times, the guys in the rear echelons have to, get their hands a little dirty.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the only reason that platoon survived is because those guys were getting up to cook breakfast, and he had his weapon with him. And they had one of those little mobile kitchen trailers that they were actually cooking hot meals out of. And when those dudes started shooting up the tents, they grabbed their stuff, ran to the sound of the guns, and burned those dudes down.
Don't mess with the supply guy before he's had his first cup of coffee.
That's right.
You listen to everybody.
Well, that's the thing about the military. You're a soldier marine first before you're anything else. So, you may not get to practice it a lot, but when it comes down to it, you're infantry. You're a grunt, just like any other, full-time grunt when it comes down to it. So, it's very easy for Uncle Sam to say, you know what, I understand that you sit in an office and do human resources all day, but we need guys on the line. Grab your shit. You're going to the line. So it does happen.
Yeah. And, and as much as, the different branches and the different MOSs like to give each other crap and call each other pogues and whatnot, when push comes to shove, the dudes that saved the day weren't the guys that are, the door kickers. These were the guys that, were making your meals and, keeping your laundry going and, replacing your supplies and whatnot. And they took care of business.
Yeah.
So next time you go to turn in that gear and we tell you that it's unserviceable, don't start any shit.
Oh, we're still gonna start shit. I mean, it's just the way it is.
I was gonna say that's not gonna stop ever.
But secretly, we'll
I
say.
Actually, I don't know if I remember, or stop me if I've already told this story. One of my favorite supply stories actually involves the MPs.
How much did they steal?
No. Well, I mean, let's face it. It was a barracks base. We were nowhere near any kind of front of any kind. There wasn't even a war going on at the time. This is after Gulf War. There was nothing going on. It was a very, very chill time to be in the military.
Unless you wanted to stay in because there was a drawdown.
Yeah, well, that's what happened to me. I mean, my time in the military was not nearly as long as y'all's because, again, didn't get combat time in Desert One, and once that happens, when Clinton comes in, the Marine Corps was being drawn from 270,000 to 180,000 in like 4 years.
Uh-huh.
So never mind the golden handshake; they were giving you a bonus to leave.
Right.
They were like, here's $3,000 if you don't reenlist. Get the hell out of here,
Yeah, and it was an early out bonus at that.
Yeah. Again, if you didn't actually come back from Kuwait with that little brown ribbon, you probably weren't going to have a choice in the matter. I mean, it was depending on your MOS. But anyway, so it was a very chill time in the service or whatever. Back in Parris Island, South Carolina or whatever. Again, I was permanent personnel by this point. I wasn't going there for boot camp. And headquarters and service battalion is, all of the usual, kind of units you see in H&S battalion. So the MPs were actually part of our battalion, so they fell under us as far as supply goes. And everyone likes giving the MPs a hard time because, let's face it, everyone who's not an MP hates the MPs because
the only friends MPs have are other MPs.
Yeah, the ones that give you a hard time when you're trying to get back on base, drunk off your ass, and
There's a reason why we're quartered separately.
Yeah. So they come in. A couple of MPs come in, and we're like, oh no, here we go, and they say we have to fill out a D9Z. A form, Delta 9 Zulu, and I'm like, oh god, this is going to be awesome. So there's D9A, which is a miscellaneous. The hell is it? It's a form that says that you no longer have a certain item. It's some kind of a loss. you transferred these, whatever, these boots to another battalion. You transferred these, whatever it is, this desk, this computer, this whatever. And it's like 3 or 4 different kinds. So transfer, it broke, it's no longer serviceable, whatever. D9Z is miscellaneous loss. We used to call them pawn shop receipts.
Oh, yeah.
You sold this thing because you needed beer money, and now you say, my dog ate it, some random
it got stolen out of my car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the guy comes in, and he's like, he already knows he's in for it. He's like, oh, there's 2 of them. I'm like, yeah, we're so-and-so, Lance Corporal so-and-so, Sergeant so-and-so from the MPs, and we have a D9Z we have to fill out. Like, oh, this is going to be great. We're like already like rubbing our hands together. Time to rub the MPs over the coals.
Oh,
like, okay, D9Z, huh? Oh, I can't wait to hear this story. What happened? And he gets all sad, and he lowers his head. He says, he died. I'm like, what the hell? And I look on the D9Z, and it's like military work dog or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, he technically counts as equipment. And I'm like, oh, shit. Sorry, dude. And now we're being real nice, but...
Yeah.
For a second there, we're like, oh, boy, the MPs are going to owe us a favor. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I thought you were going to be able to mess with him because he lost his helmet or something. And
yeah.
Yeah, the military's always had this weird thing about their livestock. Specifically these days, really, it's only working dogs. But I mean, back in the day, it was the horses and mules and whatnot. That's always been considered property.
Yep.
So that's always been kind of weird because like if something goes missing or like you could be charged for abusing an animal, but if you killed an animal, you didn't kill a person, you destroyed a piece of equipment.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah,
very weird.
It's not. It's a mindset. It's how the they're literally. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. They're literally classified as equipment. This guy had to fill out a form, the same D9Z form for a military police dog that just died, or as like a friend, a borderline, well, not even on borderline, like an actual comrade. These are other living beings that work with you or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he doesn't fill out a death certificate. He fills out a D9Z. The same form he fills out when he backs over his radio in his driveway. Oh shit, I broke my radio. Or
Yep.
At the same time, the general has a dog that outranks me because he's a freaking corporal, and he actually has an SRB. He's wearing the same ribbons I do, and I'm like. He gets busted to Lance Corporal for peeing on the general's shoes. I'm like, you know what, Marine Corps? Sometimes you take it a little too far.
Well,
Oh, crap. Well,
it's just living up to that devil dog reputation.
Yes.
Oh,
they're now available in miniature form, devil dogs.
Yep.
You can now pick them up. All the way back to tabletop gaming.
Yep. Way to go, segue. So,
yeah, thanks for bringing us back around to what it is we're supposed to be talking about. Just tell a war story.
All right, Gaz, any news or updates or anything from you?
I knew that was coming. Yes, there's a couple of little ones I'd like to throw out there.
Please do, sir.
North Star military figures.
Yeah,
they've done some really nice stuff for sort of black powder, so muskets and tomahawks. And they've done the War of the 1812, and they've got some lovely British regulars, British Canadians, US regulars, US militia that are worth a look at, especially if you're into that sort of period in 28 mil.
Wait a minute. So they're doing the the War of 1812?
They are indeed.
Wow. I mean, that's one that does not get any love, is the War of 1812, really. I mean, how many people, have actually played a game based upon the War of 1812? So that's good. I mean, it just shows that there are companies out there willing to, I don't want to say take a risk, but expand people's horizons, if you will, to, theaters of battle, conflict that aren't, quote unquote, popular. So, for those people who are very open to doing new events or genres or times of history. That's awesome. Because there are a lot of differences between 1812 and, the American Revolution. So, equipment wise and uniforms and all that stuff. So, it wasn't just, we're using the same old stuff. So that's really good.
I love the fact the U.S. militia are in top hats for the most part.
They're Napoleon wannabes as the American Army and also militia in 1812. It's one of those wars that everyone knows about. Literally, everyone knows about. If you sing the American national anthem, you know about the War of 1812, but nobody knows anything. Very few people know anything about. You might have heard of the Battle of New Orleans, because I think it's the one battle we actually won in that entire war.
I was going to say, only because of the song.
Yeah. But if there isn't a song about it, or a Charlton Heston, Yul Brynner movie about it, no one really knows about it. It's kind of obscure. Again, it's one of those wars that everyone says they won, everyone says they lost. So it's also very vague. It's very ambiguous. It's not like this clear, cut and dry. It doesn't really have any like Normandy moments.
Right.
So yeah, it's a tough one. I've gamed in the American in the War of 1812, but not for like 20 years. Like a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So, and I play war games almost every week. So yeah, it's not one that's there's a lot of grass on that field, so to speak.
Just looking at their website, they're up to 12 products for that now, which is sort of a bit of a collector's edition. Officers, regular sort of line infantry for the British Canadian militia, U.S. regular infantry officer, infantry regulars, U.S. militia, a couple of options on them, Indian Sachem, some Indian warriors, and then a bundle, basically a good-sized bundle for each army. So yeah, there's some jump-off points there to get into the hobby, as well as what is quite a robust muskets and tomahawks has been around for quite a while now in various forms.
Yeah.
It's a very robust system if you're looking for rules. So yeah, a bit of a nice one. And continuing with the theme of not often played periods, the War of the Triple Alliance from Perry Miniatures. So South America is again getting some love.
Yeah, we were talking about this in a previous episode one time. That's one of the bloodiest battles ever to take place in the Western Hemisphere. That war was a freaking slaughter, man.
Yeah, I think it was only probably 3 or 4 months ago, I think, Jim, we brought it up.
Yeah, we touched on this one, I think, when they released some earlier products in this line, and it was just interesting because, like you say, it's one of those wars that, people really should know a little bit more about, but at least over here on this side of the world, because, it's in our part of the, I don't want to say our part of the world because it's in South America, but it's, it's over here on our side of the planet, kind of thing. And outside of like Manassas, Gettysburg, Antietam, it's rough, man. As far as bloodiest wars or bloodiest battles here on this side of in the Western Hemisphere, so to speak. I can't remember what it was. It slaughtered like 50% of the males, not the males of fighting age, not the military. 50% of the male population of Paraguay didn't make it through that. That country didn't recover for 3 or 4 generations. They kind of started it, but that was kind of their fault.
That's not the issue with facts.
Yeah, their leaders' fault anyway. But yeah, all of a sudden Paraguay just said, you know what? I have a problem with the rest of South America. I'm taking on almost literally everybody. That's where you get the name Triple Alliance. He took on, I think it was Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina. I'm probably getting the countries wrong, but they took on at least 3 other countries, like all at once. Yeah. Paraguay's one of the smaller countries down there anyway, and they just, for a while, they were doing well. It was almost like, the beginning of World War II. This little, relatively small country, kind of in the middle of everything, says, you know what, fuck everybody. I'm invading everyone's land that touches mine, and it worked for a while, and then finally, the rest of the continent kind of gets together and says, yeah, we've had enough of that. And
once they realize, like, you're really doing this? Okay, hold on. I must get some guys.
Working. Well, what was it they used to Eddie Izzard used to say about Stalin and Hitler? They're like, look, man, you can kill all your own people you want. You start killing people in other countries. Well, after a couple of years, we're not going to put up with any more of that.
That's right. Once you hit 2 or 3 million people, we're starting to talk about real numbers here.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the good things about the Perry miniatures haven't really strayed from their core, which is to do history. They've not felt the need to transition into other areas, but rather than do that, have touched into time periods that are not as well represented. Mm-hmm. Just looking at their metal ranges here, we have the Cape Frontier Wars, Victoria's Little Wars, the Queen Victoria, World War II, Napoleonic, American War of Independence, American Civil War, British Intervention Forces, Crusades, War of the Roses, European armies, the Sudan, Agincourt, the Carlist War, Samurai, Korean, English Civil War, War of the Triple Alliance, Mafeking. So they've just really stayed in their lane. But when you go into each one of these, it's not just 12 sets of miniatures. It's for example, the War of the Triple Alliance. The latest stuff out is more stuff being added. So there's artillery, there's cavalry, there's lancers, there's infantry stood shouldered arms, there's infantry on the charge, there's infantry aiming to fire for all three of these groups, and all of them are true to the period and lovely sculpts in metal. So they do such a good job and have stayed true to what they are, and I think that's why they're still going and still so strong.
Yeah, there's something about South America. I don't really know what it is, but name your top 3 battles in Asia. It's easy. Or your favorite 3 battles in Asia. Name your favorite 3 battles in Africa. You can name El Alamein was in Africa. Rorke's Drift was in Africa. Goddamn Germany. Or I should say Europe. Pick any country in Europe. You can name, 5 battles that are your favorite. Pick your top 5 battles in South America. Go. Even I can't really name 5 battles. South America, man. And there's Simon Bolivar's wars before this Triple Alliance. There are some big wars that go on down there. It just doesn't stick to the Velcro of history for some reason. I really don't know why that is. So, especially in the 1800s, before America became such a dominant power in North America, that it wasn't clear whether North or South America was going to be sort of the center of gravity in the Western Hemisphere, because there were a lot of people and a lot of money and a lot of really powerful countries. And again, guys like Bolivar, some very powerful leaders down in South America. The 1800s in South America, there's the Pacific War.
Yeah.
And you immediately think, oh, that's Japan versus America. No, that's Chile versus Ecuador, in this huge Napoleonic naval fleet battle that took place in 1852 or so. I can't remember the dates now, but there's a lot of wars down there that most even hardcore historians have never heard of. So anything that expands people's knowledge or gaming, that's a huge unplowed sort of a field as far as fertile ground for wargaming. South America. Anyone who's ever interested in doing something new. Oh God, it's Waterloo again. Yay. Gettysburg again. Yay. Oh, yay. Normandy. I've only seen that 9 million times. South America, man. Trust me, there's a ton down there. I promise you, more than you think.
So, yeah.
I'd like to bring us back to modern to finish.
Please do.
That's a particular favorite of many of our listeners. Empress Miniatures have just released some new VC heads. And I don't mean on spikes. They are.
Well, if you got some toothpicks and a little wash.
How about some ears? Are there ears?
That would be in bad taste, shall we say. Not that any of you lot are PC in any way. But so they've released a set of alternate heads for the infantry, wearing the traditional sort of Vietnamese sun hats. The hats you would often see them in, cutting around instead of helmets. So actually it brings a really nice option for a number of their models, because if you want your sort of frontline infantrymen to look a bit more rough and ready, a bit more militia, you could swap out the heads from helmets to these. If you want to just have some civilians cutting around, again, it just adds a very nice, easily identifiable visual for when you're tabletop gaming to say, yeah, they're the civilians on the battlefield, they're enemy forces, they're friendly forces. I think it's a really nice small addition, really, that can change a game up quite a bit.
So when you say sun helmets, are you talking about like the almost British style or like African style pith helmets?
No, there's some hats, the sort of the straw hats.
Okay, like the rice paddy kind of hat, kind of.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, those other helmets were mostly NBA, but the hats you're talking about are totally it's totally the kind of thing you're gonna see with either NLF, Viet Cong, whatever term you want to use for them. The more
allows you to mix forces,
South Vietnamese militia.
Yeah, allows you to mix forces on the board almost and understand at a glance what the statistics are for each force. Very nice.
Over this
and again, good looking sculpts.
Yeah,
the old Op Center episodes. The Vietnam, we tend to think of them as it's Charlie, out in the bush or whatever. There were several factions out there, and they, in a gaming situation, very different stats, very different command styles, very different orders of battle, and they did not get along. They never really fought each other. They allowed each other to be massacred many times. They did not like each other at all. The Viet Cong and or what we would call the Viet Cong and the NBA. Those aren't their real names, but for purposes of our little, conversation here. So any kind of a game company or any kind of miniature that allows you to be very specific and make sure that it's very clear, which is which is, definitely a good thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything else, Gaz?
Nope, that's it for the news.
Anything from the Martin? I'm sorry, Gaz, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, personally, today I started building my Prusa 3D printer, which has been sat for a little while I was willing to and had time to. So I've had to spread it out a few days. It's a 137-page booklet to build it.
Wow.
Save $300, but I would say it's probably going to take me between sort of 6 and 8 hours. Just taking my time, double checking everything as I go, because the last thing you want to do is get to the end and then find you built something wrong and it doesn't work and it's your fault and you reverse the process.
Where do these extra parts go?
It's everything from electronics to just basic building, putting it together. I'm finding the instructions are really good. The product is very, very high quality, as is the packaging it came in. Everything is got a lot of thought in putting into the process. So each baggie I have has a number on it that relates to what step in the book that those parts are for. As an example, everything's got its part number listed. Jim, you'd be very happy with everything's labeled, everything's got small diagrams, everything. It would flick your switch, shall we say.
Nice.
You would enjoy the process of how they've accounted for everything and made sure everything's correctly labeled and easy to identify. So hopefully I'm going to have that up and running sort of by the end of next weekend, so that I can sort of add to Chris's mine will be a small mound on my table, and his will be a mountain somewhere in the Rockies of models produced.
Right.
And I've still got the gaming table to break open yet, which I'll hopefully do a video on when I get around to that.
Awesome. Marty, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. So HMGS had their Cyber Wars redo this past weekend. So I didn't watch any of it live, but I have been going through, I think No Dice, No Glory has it on has all the roundtable stuff and interviews on their site. So while I've been painting, I've been listening and watching that stuff. One of the things that I caught last night that caught my eye was an interview with apparently everyone that works in Warlord Games. It was a cast of thousands. There was literally Warlord had like 8 guys on there over the course of 3 hours, and one of the first things that they talked about that caught my eye was apparently they are working on a combined arms concept using bolt action, blood red skies, and victory at sea in some sort of campaign system.
What?
So yeah. So it looks like it's going to be where it's an overarching.
We need to reach out to those boys.
Yeah, it looks like it's an overarching campaign where you can have a land or a sea or air battle, and then focus down on the land battle using the various games, of course. So I thought that was really cool. Blood Red Skies is coming out with a midway expansion. So that they thought would be, their guess was around Easter. You know, given the current environment, you know, give or take, nothing's written in stone there. You know, Gaz, I know you've done some Blood Red Sky stuff. If you're into their planes, there's a new Italian faction, and I do mean faction, coming out en masse. They've got 5 planes and aces coming out in an expansion pack, including their SM-79, the big 3-engine bomber. And then the rest are several single-engine fighters. They didn't list by name. But they've also included cards in their expansion pack for 6 other planes. Again, they didn't mention exactly what they were, that they're not producing, but they're all available via STL for 3D printing. So even though they're not going to produce those particular models, they made cards for them. So I thought that was interesting. That's kind of cool. And then
there's quite a large community for there's Blood Red Skies Ready Room for people that are looking for a community for that on Facebook. And a lot of their guys are so embedded in the game that they often produce cards for non-existent aircraft that were in the war. Yeah, so and see that they're sort of heading that off to keep the game balanced.
I was going to say, and this isn't community generated cards like you see in the Ready Room, although those are cool. I mean, it expands your stuff, but I mean, this is coming from Warlord. They're just not going to produce the models for them. Yeah. You know, you could also proxy in something, I would imagine, if you wanted to use those. They're also they said they were making a Heinkel 3 for the Germans and a VTOL for the British. Again, no exact release date on that, but those were all in the works. So I thought I would share that because that kind of piqued my curiosity last night. I was listening to it while I was painting, and I'm like, "Ooh, that's interesting." The combined arms concept of using those 3 games together. Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to see how that works. I currently don't play any of those games, but the fact that they think they can Frankenstein them together in some sort of cohesive way, I find very interesting.
Yeah, very cool. We'll definitely have to reach out to them. Yeah. So we need to reach out to the HM and HMGS guys, because it'll be interesting to see if they do their spring convention, Little Wars. Because we definitely want to support them if we can. Yeah, there's been
no decision made on that as far as I know, but you also can't buy tickets for it yet. Yeah. So I think that's kind of up in the air. I suspect it's not going to happen.
I can tell you right now, Dawn and I have been associated with Adepticon for the last few years. It started out as just, we were covering it for Beast of War / on Tabletop, and then the last few years we were kind of on the board doing media stuff, again, through on Tabletop, but it was, we were invited to the board meetings to coordinate stuff. And this year, I haven't seen or heard anything as far as Adepticon for next year. So
Firelock Games, Mike Cunez and Rufus were another one of the guys that weren't interviewed, and they were actually talking for a while about conventions and how that messed up their rollout of Oak and Iron and Blood and Valor. And one of the things that they had talked about was really wanting to do Adepticon, and they were like, I don't know, haven't heard yet. Because they're one of the vendors that when it got canceled last year, they just left everything that they'd already paid as a deposit for 2021, and were hedging their bets that they were still going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I can give you an update as far as Adepticon 2021. I can't go into detail because it is a private group, but I can say they're working on coordination with all the parties involved and the state of Illinois because due to restrictions. So we're waiting on further at this time. There just isn't going to be a lot of movement at this time. So
well, and I think all of the all of the spring cons are in the same boat pretty much.
Yeah. So. And so it'll be interesting to see. I can tell you when this crap is over, hopefully sooner than later, whatever conventions have their first real live event is going to be a humdinger. That's all I'm going to put about that.
Oh.
People are going to be going ape shit because
Can you imagine if Gen Con goes off, what that's going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they'll have 300,000 people there. It'll be out of control.
Yep.
But
you guys ever had a chance to try Blood and Valor?
I have not.
No. Mm-mm.
It has got, I mean, I only played a couple turns at Historicon 2019 with Rufus. But I'll say this much. That game has one of the most innovative initiative systems I've seen in a while.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the initiative system in particular is almost like your usual, let's not just roll a dice and whoever rolls higher gets to go first. It's not draw a dice out of a bag like bolt action. It's this weird kind of combination of some of these mechanics. Also with a almost like a blind bid kind of a system in there. Like you have a certain amount of phases in the game, and you roll initiative for each phase, not for each turn. And you have a certain amount of like command points, and you can like add those command points to your roll or whatever. I can't remember if it's a roll or not, but you can like bid points. Like, okay, it's okay if I don't move first. It's okay if I don't do my supply or my command first. I have to fire first this turn, And at the same time, you know how many points your opponent has, and he only has 9, and he's already bet 6 of them. Well, I know if I bet at least 4, I know I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Whatever next phase is coming up, if you've got 4 points left. Of course, that's 4 points you don't get to spend for the next phase. It's neat. I just thought I was just really struck by its initiative system in particular. It was actually pretty cool.
Damn it,
Rufus
Jim.
was talking about that, and he said one of the techniques for that game is if you're playing a Russian army in Blood and Valor, for instance. The troops are very hardy. They can take a beating, but there's like no command points for them. So you if you really need to shoot first, you have to think long and hard about it. But the good news is even if you don't have the initiative, in following turns, those guys can take the beatings. They're definitely not made out of glass.
Russians, I find in almost any setting, Napoleonic, World War I, World War II, are a very forgiving army to play. Like I usually say, look, I know they don't have the cool tanks or whatever, like in Panzerleader or Panzerblitz. New players, try the Russians a couple times. You can lose half your army and still win. In fact, you probably will lose half your army. The Russians are very spongy. They're very forgiving as far as an army goes.
So Jim, would you say Blood and Valor is a game we should add to the library?
I've only, like I said, I only played a couple turns on it. I just remember I was very impressed with the initiative system. It was like literally like an 18-inch by 18-inch mini table, like for a camera demo, at Historicon 2019. So I don't own the whole rule book or whatever. I'm sure it's great. It's Firelaw Games certainly. I just remember I was really kind of like, whoa, check out this initiative system. That's actually really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know. The reason I ask is I know that there is, or at least there was a week ago, a copy at my friendly local game store. And I might have a couple of dollars left in the hobby.
Might as well go ahead and pick it up, Marty.
Just saying. Because that's what I need to do is paint some more dudes.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's a low model count. It's a very low. It's a very, very low echelon kind of a game. It's it's like squad versus squad. The two salient points, I don't want to not recommend it, but I don't want to give it because before I recommend the game, especially on a public platform like this, I mean, hundreds of people are eventually going to hear this.
I like to say at least I've played the game, like for real, or I own the game, or I've read the rules. I've done none of those things. I just remember, number one, the initiative system, and number two, they made it a point to not include just the classic 1916-17 trench kind of a mechanic, trench kind of scenarios. We actually did this once on the old on tabletop, like top 5 for one of the Centennial series, like in 2018, top 5 tips for gaming World War I. And the very first tip was get out of the goddamn trench. Not all of World War I was trench warfare. In fact, not much of it was. It's the part that everyone remembers, but it's 1914, there was practically no trench warfare. 1918, there wasn't a lot of trench warfare. So, go to other periods of the war, the very beginning, the very end. If you're a Napoleonics player, stick with 1914. You're going to be surprised by how much stuff looks awfully familiar. If you're a World War II player, stick with 1918. Again, you're going to be surprised with what looks familiar there. And that's only the Western Front. There was no trench warfare in the East. And just like World War II, most of the war took place in the East. The Russians, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Germans out there in huge battles. And good grief, man. The battlefield is, 1,500 miles wide. There's no way you're going to be able to, establish a trench line like they did in the West, all the way from the Channel down to the Swiss border. Middle East, Africa, the Pacific. World War I, they called it World War I for a reason. It was all over the place. So from what I understand, Blood and Valor does include a lot of these other either periods or situations or settings, so you're not just stuck in the mud of the trenches. And again, their initiative systems seemed really cool. Those are the two things I can say for sure about Blood and Valor.
I think based on your comments, it merits further investigation on my part, at least. Yeah, so I will check it out more because I've heard of the game, but I've never seriously considered it or
Again, I don't think it gets the attention it deserves.
But World War I in general has a bad rap.
Yeah.
People think of World War I, they think trenches. I line up my army on one side of the table. I march forward. Your machine guns kill all my guys. Oh, that was fun. You want to play again? It's not like that.
Yeah.
That's World War I done badly. There's a lot of little things. The American Revolution. The British line up in big red lines. The Americans snipe at them from behind trees. No, not really.
Well, they did in our game.
Except the British won that game.
The biggest line ever.
We like to queue. That's all I can say. We just laughed when somebody started shooting at us.
They were shoulder to shoulder for a mile.
Right?
It was Jim's cookout story. 3,000 Marines at the cookouts ready to go. It was redcoats back in the day.
But yeah, those are the 3 pieces of circumstantial evidence. As far again, I don't own the game. I've never played it really. I don't have the book. I've never read the book. But number one, we know the people, and we know they've come out with other games that we have played and we have enjoyed. Number 2, the initiative system's awesome. Number 3, they made a damn point to not fall into that World War I stereotype.
Well, I think it merits further investigation.
It does, and I'm going to order the rule book myself right now. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate that.
Cool.
Well, I was talking about future purchases then. I just literally got a message while we've been on air from Wild Buildings, who recently just finished a Kickstarter today, which was another success. But Bill, you and I got in on the Vietnam terrain version.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
Yes. So he does some lovely work. He's just announced what he's going to be doing next, and I thought I would bring it specifically to Bill's attention. In February 2021, his next project will be Wild West and American Civil War.
There you go.
Wait a minute.
Right.
Doesn't he have a Kickstarter going right now?
It is literally just finished today.
Did I back that one? I don't remember if I backed that one. Hold on a minute.
Oh, that had some stunning. So, guys, if you haven't checked it out, it's an STL file site. He does some lovely work. It's called WOW Buildings, Wild Buildings. You can find him on Facebook, and he has his own a good website set up as well. The most recent one, which I went in on, he basically has done underground trains, so you can play the metro level in modern, where terrorists have took over. He did the trains, the carriages, the underground, the kiosks that you need to go through. So you can build almost a subterranean board for doing moderns and have people on Overwatch that are terrorists and a crowd in an area. So yeah, I'm hoping to print off some of that once I get this printer built up and running, and get some different battle space done, maybe with SWAT, or some other elements where it's on home ground, be it the London Underground or the US Tube system.
Yeah, you could do gangland style games.
It's so many options. I mean, you can even take it out the bracket into post-apocalyptic if you wanted to go anywhere with it. That is somewhere that has an underground railway in that sense. But yeah, they did a lot of really cool stuff in this one. I mean, you can always buy the stuff after, and the good thing is, if you've missed a previous Kickstarter that just happened to have a lot of stuff in it that you wanted, on the future pledges at Kickstarter, you can pledge for old Kickstarters. Yep. You get access to the whole package.
Yep.
So I think you can do that for up to 2. I think on this one it was
up to 2 on this one. I'm just looking at it, and I looked at it, and I never pledged on it, which I'm not really worried about because I just have all the Vietnam stuff I haven't even started looking at. But with this next project, I'll catch up.
He did do the streets from Saving Private Ryan in this one.
Yeah.
So you've got the entire fight over the bridge and the buildings for the Saving Private Ryan scenes if you wanted a centerpiece for a diorama board for an event.
Yep.
Wow.
So, yeah, I got to get the printers up and going. Marty, got to get that printer up I gave you. We got some stuff to print, bub.
Yeah, I got so as it turns out, the printer's smarter than I am. The printer's up and running, but me trying to get STL files do what they're supposed to do has been a challenge. And I'm pretty sure it's my fault, not the printer's fault. So I've been hobby time for Marty.
Uh-huh.
As you know, I got a couple of starter sets for Blood and Plunder and that bark. So the bark is done. I have finished the French starter set, and then I have Pirates and Privateers starter set as well to go with them. So I figure if I got a boat, I got to flesh this thing out, and there's a bunch of good sailors in there.
Yeah. I'm
trying to get that off my paint desk. So once I get that stuff done, so basically I got 25 more dudes out of the Pirates and Privateers starter set to do. Once I get that off my desk, I'm pretty clear, and then I can focus on trying to figure out how, because I downloaded a ton of terrain and stuff off of like Thingiverse and My Mini Maker and whatnot. And I've just not figured out how to make it print.
Seriously? So, that's like the easiest thing in the world. Yeah. I'm gonna have to come over and show you.
It turns out, again, I'm not that smart. I'm just a painting monkey, and I don't paint that fast. So I got that going for me. But yeah, I am wholeheartedly looking forward to cranking some stuff out once I get myself sorted out here.
All right. Well, we'll get you up and running. We'll get it up and running.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
But yeah, that's all the news and hobby stuff I got going on.
Excellent.
Oh, one other thing. I did this is my daughter crashing on the stairway. Oh, that's my wife. Hold on.
Should I be laughing? Maybe not.
Yeah, laugh away. It's only Marty.
But it was funny at the time. I'm not going to lie.
No, don't laugh. She's got a broken foot right now.
Oh dear.
So she's in a walking boot.
A new broken
Who's got a broken foot?
Donna.
You pushed her down the stairs?
I did not push her down the stairs.
Was it a misery moment with a sledgehammer and a wooden block?
Thank you.
Jesus H. All right.
Yeah, she has a stress fracture, so she's got one like a little mini soft cast on and the walking boot on over that, which is currently kicking her ass.
Okay. James.
But,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes.
But I just wanted to add in. I don't remember if I said this last time. So we were looking at doing some Western stuff, and I built the Desperado starter set. So Cowtown is built, as well as all of the characters that came in there are painted and done and ready to go. So we've got some basic Western stuff ready to use whenever we get to that point.
Excellent. All right. Well, we're going to have to work on it. Since you got it done, we're going to have to I better get my ass in gear, I guess. Man, I am slacking. I'm sorry, James. What do you got going on in the world of wargaming?
Well, we've been adapting I'll try that again. We've been adapting the system that we developed for 13 days to 13 hours, the transit game, into some other settings.
Very, very popular.
It seemed a shame to put all that work into it and to kind of basically build the system and really use it only once. So we've been clowning around with trying it in other settings. We've had like 90% results. It's not perfect because that game was built for a very, very specific incident. And when you take it out to other battles and other skirmishers or whatever, it's not that anything's wrong. It's like, oh, we didn't make up a rule for that. There were no smoke grenades in Benghazi, so we didn't make up rules for smoke grenades. We didn't make up rules for mortars or light armored vehicles or things like that. So it's not perfect yet, but so far we've had pretty good success in a cartel game in 1993 and a British SAS attack in North Baghdad in 2005, specifically late January, early February 2005. There were some very serious 22nd SAS Regiment battles in the northern part of Baghdad. We've been doing well with that. We dusted off Naval Command recently. Bill, you pretty much sank half the Iranian Navy in like 2 hours. That was pretty cool. And I've been buying some miniatures, actually quite a few, because I finally kind of got my pile of shame cleaned out.
Nice.
Buying a bunch of more miniatures. They're kind of already mostly done. They're very specific chosen miniatures for the next one and actually the next two series of the Op Center, which is now in pre-production. We're now writing scripts for the next series of Op Centers. Can't really say what they're going to be yet because I don't want to promise anything, but we do have two more four-part series, at least on the drawing board. One of them has actually started. And as far as the miniatures that were bought for those, they were T-55s. I know that doesn't narrow it down much because it's T-55s. But we're definitely sticking with some more modern material for our next couple Op Center series.
Nice.
So it's going to be a while because again, I'm going to make these in 4-episode blocks. They take at least 2 weeks per episode, and the holidays are coming up, so it's going to be a little bit of a delay there, but they are started and they are on the way.
Excellente. That's a good teaser. I think I'll round it up as we close out the show, as we hit the 2-hour mark. Boy, this show went quick. So I'm just getting reorganized back in. I'm looking at adding a couple more resin 3D printers so I can start printing up terrain quickly because I noticed how many files I have for terrain and things. Because I started working on the NORTHAG stuff, and I want to print up some buildings and things to create a board so we can do some play. So that's what I've been working on, and I get this stuff going here. I might have to go to Texas for 4 weeks. I don't know yet. I'll know later this week. Doing some contract work, so I might have to travel to Texas for 4 weeks. So we'll see. This is a weird time, people. We're in this whole COVID thing. It's really affected a lot of people, and those of us in the medical field. It's created a lot of opportunities, unfortunately. So there's some travel involved in some of these opportunities, so I might be traveling to Texas. We'll see. Hopefully I'll know more this week. Other than that, like I said, we worked on the radio station. I just talked to the guy from, can't believe I forgot. I literally was just talking to him on Facebook. who was I talking to? Quartermaster 3D, the guy we were talking about, those USMC guys. And he's very interested, and maybe we can get him on the show. Also, for anybody out there who is interested in getting some people out here to do, an interview on the radio station, an interview on the podcast, or even on the radio station, we can always broadcast it later. Let us know. So, like this gentleman on Quartermaster 3D, hopefully we'll get Alex back on from Full Battle Rattle. He's always a good one. And Marty, I know you talked to, who did you talk to about coming on the show?
Bonza Games.
Yes.
They had reached out and had wanted to talk about their Zero Dark 30, or I was going to say Zero Dark 30. That's the movie. Why am I drawing a blank on their game? Crap, they just came out with an expansion.
You two suck.
Yeah, I know. Delta 10. I got put on the spot. Delta 10 is their game, which by the way looks pretty cool. But it's an expansion that came out, and I don't have the base set, so I have not played it. But I would. I can't find it locally retail, so.
All
we'll have to.
Well, it's good talk,
have to order that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I know Joe Veltri. Did we get him on? Boy, I am really drawing blanks.
We have not. Although he was talking some smack on the Facebook page the other day.
So we got some stuff to go on, and we still have to get the Spectre guys. Speaking of Spectre, I was just on their page, and somebody is copying my idea again. Somebody is building an oil rig for a scenario. And I'm like, seriously? But it's my fault because I never followed through on my idea. Well, we did have a little wrinkle this year, unfortunately. My good friend Walt passed away in January of last year. So he was my project, designer on that. We were working on that together. So, but yeah, it's nice to see other people picking up on some of the same ideas I had, the ship raid, and now the oil rig. So it's good too. 2020 has been a tough year, all in all. But hopefully, 21 will be better. And, if you haven't already heard, we did cancel the gaming weekend. I did submit refunds to those who had already prepaid, so they should have gotten it. If you had not for some reason, let me know. But as the last time I logged in to PayPal, it says all refunds have been processed. Other than that, guys, be on the lookout for other programming. I'm not sure if we have anything for Tuesday as of right now. Gaz, I know you've been real busy. I don't think you have a Bruin view, do you, at this point?
I'm thinking to save time, I might just do a live painting session.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Those are like the old days.
Okay.
If I can remember how to set it all up. It's getting old. I might have to do a dry run. If suddenly you see this week a video came on for 7 seconds and disappeared, that might be me doing the recon again.
Okay. That's right. Got to do the test fire.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, I think while I'm really short on time and work's a bit silly, it's easier for me just to come online, do a session, chat with people than it is to put 10 or 12 hours into a pre-recorded 20-minute episode.
And then Thursday, the general show, I am going to try. I'm supposed to be back from Miami. I'm flying out to Miami Wednesday morning to go down to the Keys to secure stuff from the storm Eta, and then fly back that evening. Unless things change. But Thursday, I should be at the home studio with Marty if everything's good. If no one's got any scheduling conflicts. As long as you're back, I'll be there. So we'll get this studio up and running, and we'll do some programming from the studio. And then later today, I'm going to be doing some streaming, giving Jim a well-deserved break. Hopefully, you've rested up a little bit, and we'll go from there. So to everybody out there, we thank you for supporting the podcast in all our many formats. And for the rest of the command team, this is Bill, and I want to say thank you. And to all our veterans, thank you. And, we appreciate everything you've done to sacrifice for the protection of the people of your respective countries. And until the next time we see you, This is the Sit Rep Podcast signing off.